Ethan's boots sank into the thick ice as he struggled to move forward. The cold was relentless, biting through his thin layers of clothing and numbing his fingers. Each step felt heavier than the last, and the wind howled like a chorus of distant predators. Alone on this frozen planet far from the human colonies, survival was no longer a choice, it was a desperate need. His crew had vanished weeks ago, victims of a mining accident that had turned their settlement into ruins. He had scavenged what supplies remained, but food and warmth were dwindling. The landscape was bleak. Jagged mountains loomed in the distance, their peaks hidden by thick clouds while the ice below stretched endlessly, reflecting the pale light of a distant sun. Ethan paused, pressing his back against a rock to catch his breath. His body ached, not just from exhaustion but from the constant fear that he would not make it another day. As he surveyed the horizon, something unusual caught his eye, a faint glimmer in the ice like a reflection that didn't belong. Curiosity, or perhaps desperation, pushed him toward it. As he approached, he realized it was no ordinary ice formation. The structure before him was immense, partially buried in frost with angular designs that suggested intelligence, craftsmanship, and something alien. The entrance gaped like a mouth in the ice, and a faint hum vibrated through the ground beneath him. Ethan hesitated. His instincts screamed danger, but exhaustion and hunger had left him with little choice. Slowly, he stepped inside. The air was warmer than outside, but it carried a strange metallic scent. Shadows danced across the walls as he moved forward, and the hum grew louder, resonating deep in his chest. Then he saw her. Zira emerged from the shadows, and Ethan froze. She was enormous, twice the height of a human and broader than any person he had ever seen. Her skin was smooth, with intricate patterns glowing faintly, tracing across her arms, shoulders, and neck like living tattoos. Her eyes, brilliant and amber, studied him with sharp intelligence. She carried herself with a strength that was both beautiful and terrifying. Ethan felt his heart race, not just from fear, but from awe. "You survived the ice," she said, her voice deep and resonant. "That alone is unusual." Ethan swallowed, struggling to find words. I'm just trying to stay alive," he said, his voice trembling. "I didn't mean to intrude." Zira tilted her head, observing him. "You are human," she stated. "And yet you have endurance that most of your kind lack. You are weak compared to me, but your kind has something else, something that can be useful." Ethan took a cautious step back. "Useful? I don't understand." She stepped closer, each movement precise, controlled yet impossible to ignore. "I need a husband," she said simply. "And you need strong offspring. My people are dying. My mate is gone. Without strong descendants, my species will vanish. You are compatible." Ethan blinked, certain he had misunderstood. What? "I'm not asking as a request," Zira said, her tone calm, almost clinical. "I am offering survival. If you agree, you will live. You will be fed, sheltered, and trained. You will also fulfill a purpose far greater than yourself." Fear and disbelief warred within him. He was just a man who had survived accidents and frozen nights. Suddenly, he was being asked to become part of a species' survival plan. I'm not ready for that," he stammered. "I barely survive myself." Zira's eyes softened, though the power behind her presence remained. "Strength is not only measured in muscle, human. Courage, intelligence, endurance, these are also forms of strength. You have proven all three by reaching me alive." The cold outside seemed to press against the walls of the alien structure. Ethan's stomach growled, reminding him of how weak he truly was. Hunger had sharpened his mind, and fear had honed his instincts. He realized that Zira's offer might be the only way to survive. But even with that realization, the thought of pledging himself to an alien, giant, powerful, and unknown, filled him with dread. Zira, sensing his hesitation, stepped even closer. Her massive hand extended not to harm, but as an invitation. "Do you refuse death, human? Do you refuse a chance to live fully with purpose and protection, even if it requires courage you do not yet believe you possess?" Ethan's mind raced. He thought of his lost crew, the frozen plains, and the loneliness that had begun to gnaw at his sanity. He thought of the warmth of human contact, of someone trusting him, needing him, and he thought of survival. Not just staying alive, but living. Finally, he nodded slowly. I will go with you." A small smile touched Zira's lips. "Good. Then follow me." The journey to Zira's world was not simple. Ethan was guided into a chamber where he encountered technology unlike anything human science had achieved. Ships moved silently, powered by energies he could barely comprehend. Zyra explained that her people had mastered survival on harsh planets, extending their reach across hostile systems. Ethan marveled at the enormity of what he had entered. He felt small, fragile, but he also felt a spark of hope. As the ship lifted off, Ethan looked down at the icy planet shrinking beneath him. A thought struck him. He had survived against impossible odds before. Perhaps he could survive this too. Yet deep inside, he knew that Zyra's world would test him in ways the ice never had. Strength alone would not save him. He would need wits, courage, and the ability to understand a culture that was not his own. Zyra, sensing his thoughts, spoke softly. You will need more than endurance, human. You will need to adapt, to think beyond what your species has taught you. You must be ready to face challenges that would break ordinary humans, and you must do it willingly. Ethan nodded. I will try. Trying is not enough, Zyra said. You will either succeed or you will fail. And failure is costly on my world. He swallowed, the weight of her words settling in his chest. Despite the fear, he felt a flicker of determination. Survival had brought him this far. Perhaps courage and ingenuity could carry him further. The journey through space was long. Ethan observed Zyra closely, learning from her actions, her speech, her attention to detail. She was commanding, decisive, and every movement radiated power, yet she was not cruel. In her presence, Ethan felt both intimidation and reassurance. He understood that she would protect him, but also expect him to rise to her standards. Finally, after what felt like an eternity in stasis, the ship approached her planet. Ethan stared out the viewport, breath catching at the sight. The world below was enormous, with sprawling cities, vast forests of towering trees and mountains that seemed to scrape the sky. He realized the scale of everything was magnified here. Every building, every creature, every aspect of life dwarfed human experience. It was overwhelming, and yet there was beauty in the precision, the order, the power of it all. Zyra's voice broke his reverie. This is home. You will learn the rules of my people here. You will train, you will endure, and you will prove yourself worthy. Do not underestimate the challenges. Ethan nodded, feeling both awe and apprehension. The alien society would not be gentle, but he knew survival required courage and action. As the ship touched down, Ethan stepped out and felt the ground beneath him, a firm, stable surface that vibrated with the life of the planet. Zyra's people, observing from above, recognized him immediately as an outsider, small and fragile. Ethan realized that first impressions mattered here. Strength alone would not carry him. Respect, intelligence, and cunning would be necessary to survive, and perhaps to thrive. Zyra placed a massive hand on his shoulder. Tonight you rest. Tomorrow your training begins. Remember this, human, you are not alone, but neither will you be coddled. Every choice you make, every action will determine if you survive and if my people survive through you. Ethan nodded again. That night, under alien stars larger and brighter than anything he had ever seen, he felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. The ice and death of his previous life seemed distant, but the challenges ahead were far greater. He was no longer just a man struggling to survive a frozen planet. He was a participant in something monumental, the survival of a species, the merging of humanity with alien power, and the chance to prove that even a fragile human could rise to meet impossibly large expectations. As he closed his eyes, Ethan knew one thing for certain: this was only the beginning. The frozen plains of his past had tested him, but Zyra's world would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. And if he survived, he would not just live, he would matter. The dawn on Zyra's planet painted the massive landscape in shades of gold and crimson. Ethan rose, muscles aching, heart pounding, and stepped forward. With Zyra by his side, he walked toward the unknown, ready to face trials that would define not just his survival, but the future of two species. The morning after the storm, the settlement was quiet. The dusty winds had settled, leaving the streets littered with debris and small rocks. Daniel stepped outside, inspecting the damage, while Ethan sat in his chair near the door, his hands gripping the edges nervously. Lyra knelt beside him, adjusting a small support device that helped him move more easily. "Today we will try something new," she said softly. "It will help you walk a little more without my help." Ethan's eyes widened with excitement and a hint of fear. "Really, you think I can do it?" "I know you can," Lyra replied. her calm certainty giving him confidence. You only need to believe in yourself and take one step at a time. Together they moved to a small cleared area near the house. Lyra guided Ethan's movements with gentle hands, showing him how to shift his weight and balance. His first attempts were shaky. He fell slightly and laughed, frustrated but determined. Lyra encouraged him patiently, her voice calm, soothing, and firm. Slowly, step by step, Ethan managed to move forward a few feet. Daniel watched from a distance, a mixture of pride and disbelief on his face. He had never seen his son move so freely, even with assistance. Lyra's presence had unlocked something inside Ethan, a courage and determination that had been hidden behind fear and physical limitations. As the days passed, Lyra and Ethan continued their exercises. Their bond grew stronger, filled with laughter, shared discoveries, and quiet understanding. Lyra introduced small alien devices that helped Ethan explore, manipulate, and even play. He built simple machines, tested gadgets, and learned to solve problems with her guidance. Lyra's alien knowledge combined with his human ingenuity created a unique synergy. Meanwhile, Daniel handled the practical aspects of life. The colony still murmured about Lyra's presence, but their suspicion began to fade as they witnessed her contributions. She repaired broken equipment, devised ways to improve mining efficiency, and even helped with medical treatments using knowledge that seemed miraculous to the humans. Slowly, she gained respect, though Daniel remained cautious. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Lyra and Ethan were sitting on the small porch, examining a device she had built. It was a small hovering sphere that could record and project holographic images. Ethan reached out, touching it carefully, his eyes shining. "This is amazing," he whispered. "It's like magic," Lyra smiled. "It is not magic. It is understanding and applying knowledge. Anyone can do it if they learn and practice." Ethan thought for a moment. "Then maybe I can do more than I thought." "Maybe I can do anything," Lyra nodded. "Yes, you are capable of much more than you know." The moment was interrupted by a distant hum. Daniel looked up and saw a ship descending from the sky, its markings unfamiliar and precise. He felt a chill. He knew instantly that Lyra's people had arrived. The ship landed gently outside the settlement. A door opened, revealing 3 figures in sleek uniforms. Their movements were deliberate, and their expressions were unreadable. They walked toward the house, eyes scanning every detail. Daniel stepped in front of Ethan and Lyra, placing himself as a barrier. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice firm. "We are here for the specimen," one of them said, pointing at Lyra. She was delivered incorrectly and must return to her assigned location immediately. Lyra remained calm, standing between Daniel and the visitors. "I am not a specimen. I am a person," she said. Her voice carried authority and quiet strength. "I have chosen to stay here, for reasons that concern me and the humans I protect." The visitors paused, exchanging glances. One stepped forward. "You cannot decide that. Your return is mandatory. You will comply." Ethan, sensing the tension, wheeled himself closer to Lyra. "No," he said firmly. "She is staying."
"She helps me."
"She helps my dad. We need her." Daniel placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "He is right," Daniel said, looking at the visitors. "She has chosen to help us. You may think this is a mistake, but she belongs here now." Lyra took a deep breath, then turned to the visitors. "I will not leave," she said calmly. "I will stay and protect them as I have been doing. That is my choice." The visitors hesitated, clearly unused to defiance from someone under their control. After a tense moment, they signaled to each other and retreated to the ship. "This is not over," one said. "She will be recalled eventually." The ship lifted and disappeared into the sky, leaving a sense of relief and tension behind. Daniel exhaled deeply, his eyes meeting Lyra's. "You really are brave," he said. Lyra smiled faintly. "I only do what must be done." In the following weeks, life slowly returned to a new normal. The settlement began to see Lyra not as a stranger, but as part of the community. She helped with daily tasks, repaired broken machines, and even shared small lessons about alien technology and science. Ethan thrived under her guidance, growing more confident and capable every day. Then came the real test. A mining accident occurred at the edge of the colony. A small tunnel collapsed, trapping several workers inside. Daniel and other settlers rushed to help, but the structure was unstable. Lyra assessed the situation quickly, analyzing the weak points in the tunnel. She turned to Daniel. We must act carefully. You take the workers' equipment. I will guide Ethan and help with rescue strategies. Timing is critical. Ethan's eyes widened, but he nodded. He trusted her completely. Using small tools and devices provided by Lyra, he assisted in the rescue effort. Daniel coordinated the workers while Lyra moved with precision, directing operations and even lifting heavy debris with her strength and knowledge. The rescue was tense. Dust and rocks shifted unpredictably, but together they managed to free the trapped miners. The colony watched in awe as the human father, his son, and the alien woman worked seamlessly. Lyra's intelligence, Ethan's ingenuity, and Daniel's experience combined to achieve something that no single human or alien could have done alone. After the rescue, the settlers approached them. Their expressions changed from suspicion to admiration. People who had doubted Lyra now saw her courage and wisdom firsthand. Children gathered around Ethan, inspired by his bravery. Adults shook their heads in amazement, realizing that this strange woman, delivered by mistake, had become essential to their survival. That evening, as the twin moons rose again, Daniel, Ethan, and Lyra sat outside, reflecting on the day. Ethan leaned against Lyra, exhausted but happy. Daniel observed them quietly, feeling a warmth he had not felt in years. "You've changed everything," Daniel said softly. "Not just for my son, but for all of us," Lyra smiled. "No, you all have changed me. You have shown me that life is not about duty alone, but about connection and courage. About finding meaning where you least expect it." Ethan reached out and held her hand. "I'm glad you stayed," he said simply. Lyra knelt to meet his eyes. "And I am glad I did," she replied. The story did not end with an easy conclusion. Lyra's people might return one day and challenges would continue to arise. But for now, in this small human settlement, they had created something remarkable. A bond between species forged in trust, courage, and mutual respect. Lyra, Daniel, and Ethan had learned that true strength was not just physical or technological. It was the ability to care, to protect, and to believe in one another. Even a boy who could not walk and an alien who had been misplaced could shape the future, proving that humanity's courage, resilience, and heart were stronger than anyone could imagine. As the night deepened and stars shimmered overhead, Lyra looked at Ethan and Daniel. A sense of peace settled over her. She had been delivered to the wrong address, but this was exactly where she belonged. And in that quiet moment, she realized something profound. Home was not a place, nor a duty. Home was the bond they shared, the trust, the courage, and the love that connected a human father, his son, and an alien who had chosen to stay. The twin moons cast their glow across the settlement, and for the first time in a long while, the future felt full of possibility.